For over 4,500 years, the Great Pyramids of Giza have become a symbol of mystery and conspiracy.
A secret tunnel.
There is something important.
Oh, this is insane.
Nobody will take this seriously.
For the first time, a look inside.
Structures underneath the Great Pyramid.
Its true function is still unknown.
The last remaining wonders of the ancient world. Our understanding of their construction and internal structure has been limited by the dangers of physical exploration and the restrictions of traditional archaeology. But now, cutting-edge science has given us the ability to see through the layers of stone, revealing secrets that haven't been uncovered for millennia. This is the story of how a groundbreaking mission known as ScanPyramids used non-invasive techniques to visualize the interior of the Great Pyramid. The project was launched in order to gain insight into the construction process and to get a better understanding of the internal structure. What the researchers found, however, was something no one could have predicted. And the discovery within the pyramid was just the beginning. The same technology also hinted at previously unknown structures beneath the very foundations of the pyramids, forcing us to reconsider how much we truly know about the origins of these ancient wonders. The findings have sparked a wide-ranging debate that extends from the academic world to popular culture. The discussion centers on the techniques used, interpretation of the results, and the dangers of damaging the pyramids through further excavation. The discoveries have been met with skepticism from some traditional archaeologists, while social media has produced its own set of exaggerations and conspiracy theories. On one side are the researchers who believe these new technologies are the key to unlocking the pyramid's final secrets. On the other are traditional archaeologists who remain skeptical, fearing that a rush to excavate could cause irreparable damage to the structures. This is Voyager, where we explore complex questions and exciting science. If you're new here, consider subscribing to dive into new topics every week. And if you're returning, welcome back. This video will explore the details of the new science, the prevailing theories, the new discoveries that have changed our understanding, and the mysteries that endure. The Great Pyramids of Giza are a symbol of the prosperity, skill, and ambition of ancient Egyptian society. A highly organized civilization conceived and constructed a project that remains one of history's greatest achievements, a series of massive tombs for the pharaohs that would ensure their journey into the afterlife. At a time when the last woolly mammoths were still roaming the Arctic tundra of Siberia, the ancient Egyptians mastered engineering and logistics to build on a scale previously unseen. The Great Pyramid of Giza standing as the tallest building for nearly 4,000 years. They understood how to mobilize a vast population for a shared goal. Their mastery of technology allowed them to build something that still captivates us today, and that still holds mysteries hidden inside the ancient walls and beneath the 6 million tons of stone. The largest of the pyramids is estimated to have been built with over 2 million granite and limestone blocks. The core was made of rough limestone, but the inner chambers were crafted from huge slabs of hard granite, each weighing up to 80 tons, and transported hundreds of miles up the Nile River. This monumental effort is believed to have taken a dedicated workforce of tens of thousands of skilled laborers just 2 decades to complete. The technology at their disposal was surprisingly simple: ropes, sledges, and hand tools like copper chisels and stone hammers. The people who built the pyramids relied on a deep understanding of physics, logistics, and labor organization to build something so massive. The sheer scale and precision of the construction has led to centuries of speculation about how such a feat was even possible. The incredible precision of the stonework is a powerful rebuttal to any claims of lack of skill. The gaps between the massive casing stones were as small as 0.5 millimeters, a precision so tight that a knife blade cannot fit between them. The entire 13-acre base of the Great Pyramid is also level to within 15 millimeters, a feat of engineering that might hint at the use of water to ensure levelness. For a long time, the only answers we had came from historical records and traditional archaeological methods, which were confined to what could be physically explored. The questions were simple, yet they cut to the core of the mystery. Who were these people, and how did they accomplish such an improbable task without the aid of modern technologies? The scale and perfect execution of the construction have fueled speculation for millennia, often leading to theories that deny the brilliance of the ancient Egyptians. But in doing so, are we fundamentally underestimating the true capabilities of a civilization that built something so lasting? In a new era of archaeology, scientists are using revolutionary, non-invasive techniques to map the insides of these ancient structures without disturbing a single stone, revealing secrets we never expected, and shedding light on some of these ancient questions. While modern science is revealing what's hidden within the pyramids, it's also brought renewed vigor to the oldest mystery of all. How were they built in the first place? For decades, theories have attempted to explain the monumental undertaking, each with its own evidence and doubts. The ultimate answer is likely a combination of methods, showcasing the adaptable genius of the ancient Egyptian engineers. The external straight ramp theory is perhaps the simplest and most intuitive model. This theory suggests that as the pyramid grew in height, a single massive ramp was constructed from the ground level up one side, extending further and further with each new layer of blocks. This ramp would have been made of compacted rubble, mud, brick, and limestone chips, gradually inclined to allow workers to drag the immense stones to the top using ropes and wooden sleds. Evidence for such ramps comes from residual remains at other smaller pyramid sites, though a ramp the scale required for the Great Pyramid has never been fully discovered. The main appeal of this theory is its simplicity and the reliance on known ancient technologies. There is evidence of this kind of transportation, as the famous tomb painting from the tomb of Jehotiatep shows a team of men pulling a colossal statue on a sled, while workers pour water into the sand in front of it. This method would have significantly reduced friction, showing the builder's understanding of physics. However, critics of this theory argue that a ramp of the scale required to reach the top of the Great Pyramid would have been a monument in itself. To maintain a manageable slope of about 7 to 10%, the ramp would have needed to be over a mile long, containing more material than the pyramid itself, and taking decades to build. The logistics of having hundreds of thousands of workers hauling blocks on a single ramp would have been incredibly inefficient. Furthermore, no archaeological evidence of such a massive, long-lasting ramp has ever been found at the Giza site. These logical and physical challenges have led many to look for alternative explanations for how the pyramids were built. An alternative is the internal spiral ramp theory, famously championed by French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin. This hypothesis proposes that the lower sections of the pyramid were built with an external ramp, but once the structure reached a certain height, an internal ramp system took over. This hidden ramp, spiraling upwards within the pyramid's core, would have allowed workers to transport blocks along internal corridors. This theory is supported by observations of subtle indentations or notches on the pyramid's outer edges, which Houdin suggests were turning points for these internal ramps, perhaps with open terraces for light and for rotating blocks. Another observation that has been interpreted as evidence to support this theory lies within the Grand Gallery itself. While it's long been seen as a ceremonial passage, Houdin proposed it was a great machine. He theorized that the grooves and notches on the gallery's side ramps were part of a giant counterweight system, designed to help lift the massive granite beams for the king's chamber. This system, acting as a kind of primitive elevator, would have used a sliding counterweight to haul these heavy stones up the steep incline. Despite these compelling clues, the theory lacks the ultimate proof, the discovery of a complete traversable internal ramp itself. The elegance of this theory lies in its efficiency, reducing the external footprint, and protecting the ramp from the elements. But the conclusive archaeological proof of such a vast internal structure remains unseen. This is why the detection of new evidence within the pyramid's northeast corner by non-invasive methods has been met with such excitement, as some see it as the first potential physical evidence that this theory may have been correct. An emerging and more speculative theory involves the use of hydraulic lifts, or a sophisticated system of water-powered mechanisms. This idea suggests that the ancient Egyptians possessed a more advanced understanding of pneumatics and hydraulics than traditionally believed. Recent archaeological findings, such as a remarkably well-preserved ramp and pulley system at the Hatnub alabaster quarry dating back to Khufu's era, provide some intriguing hints. This quarry ramp featured staircases on either side of a central incline, with numerous post holes that indicate a complex system of ropes and counterweights that was used to haul massive stone blocks, potentially with the aid of water. While not direct evidence for hydraulic lifts at Giza, it does show that the ancient Egyptians were masters of leveraging mechanical advantage to move weights up inclines. This theory challenges the notion of purely a brute force approach, suggesting a deeper engineering knowledge. The theory also points to a new interpretation of existing archaeological features, specifically at the Step Pyramid of Djoser. The argument proposes that a massive stone enclosure was not just a dam, but a water treatment facility designed to capture and regulate water flow. This water would then be directed through a network of tunnels to a vertical shaft within the pyramid itself. The theory suggests that a large flow inside the shaft could have been used to hoist the massive stone blocks. By controlling the flow of water into and out of the shaft, a team of builders could have used the buoyancy of the flow and the system of ropes to lift the stones into place with a fraction of the workforce required for a simple brute force method. The internal architecture of the step pyramid, with its extensive galleries and shafts, is consistent with such a mechanism. These details serve as a powerful refutation of any conspiracy theories that claim the Egyptians lacked the tools, technology, or experience to build such magnificent structures. However, critics of this hydraulic lift theory are quick to point out its significant doubts. While the paper that proposed the theory is a fascinating thought experiment, it lacks direct physical evidence of a hydraulic system at Djoser, let alone at Giza. Most scholars believe the features cited can be explained by other, simpler theories, and theory's critics point out that the level of technology described seems to exceed what is mentioned in any literature from that period. The debate over these theories, which long have been seen as our only hope of understanding how we built the pyramids, is precisely why we need a new way to see inside the massive stone walls. And, beyond the debates over how the pyramids were built, the mysteries only deepen when we look inside. Even in parts of the pyramid that we have explored, there are mysteries that remain unsolved. In 1993, German engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink sent a robotic rover into a narrow, unexplored shaft in the Queen's Chamber. The robot came to an abrupt halt when it found a small limestone slab, a door with two mysterious copper handles protruding from it. The purpose of the handles is subject of debate. Some scholars believe they were symbolic handles for the pharaoh's soul, while others speculate they were part of a construction mechanism. What lies beyond the door remains one of the great unexplored questions of the pyramid, requiring new technologies to reveal answers without disturbing the tomb. The idea of a non-invasive exploration began over half a century ago with a groundbreaking experiment from a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. In the late 1960s, Luis Walter Alvarez set out to prove a revolutionary theory, that subatomic particles could be used to see inside the pyramids. He and his team placed large detectors inside a chamber of the Pyramid of Khafre. Their goal was simple: to use the cosmic rays that constantly bombard Earth to create a shadow image of the pyramid's interior. A shadow would indicate an area of greater density, while the absence of a shadow would signal an unknown void. Though his experiment was ultimately unsuccessful in finding any hidden secrets, it was a great success in a different way. It proved the technique could work, laying the theoretical and technical groundwork for decades to come. After Alvarez's pioneering work, the science of non-invasive archaeology continued to evolve. In the early 2000s, for example, a project led by Austrian and Egyptian authorities used terrestrial laser scanners to create a high-resolution 3D digital model of the Giza plateau. This model, while focusing on the pyramid's exterior, was an important step forward, proving that technology could be used to document and study these ancient sites with new accuracy and detail. The ScanPyramids mission, launched in 2015, is a direct descendant of Alvarez's pioneering work. This revolutionary collaboration between researchers from Egypt, France, Canada, and Japan used vastly more advanced and sensitive instruments, building on the legacy of the 1960s experiment. Their goal was exciting: to create a complete three-dimensional map of the pyramid's interior without moving a single stone. The project's non-destructive and non-invasive approach was a shift in the field, promising to reveal new information without the risk of disturbing the ancient artifacts. But these new techniques were not met with universal acceptance. Within the academic world, the initial results of ScanPyramids sparked a debate. The most prominent voice of skepticism has been Dr. Zahi Hawass, the renowned Egyptologist and former head of the Supreme Council of Antiquities. Hawass has publicly argued that the results of the project are not conclusive and require further investigation. Hawass and the others in the traditional archaeology community are limiting and restricting further investigation due to a fundamental philosophical difference in approach. They prioritize the long-term preservation of the pyramids and argue that the new, unproven technologies could lead to a rush to excavate that could cause irreparable damage. This skepticism is a cautious approach that requires a higher level of certainty before allowing physical intervention at such an ancient site, He has stated that the discovery within the Great Pyramid may just be an architectural feature and not a hidden mystery of any great importance. The speculation on what exactly was found also extends far beyond the academic community. The scientific findings have been taken wildly out of context and amplified by social media, leading to widespread exaggerations and misinformation. The academic process, which relies on precise language and peer review, is often at odds with the demands of the 24-hour news cycle and the rapid spread of conspiracies online. This ongoing tension highlights an important question. How are the results of new methods spread, interpreted, and validated? The pyramids have been a source of mystery and awe for thousands of years, and the recent scientific discoveries have provided a new set of clues for speculators to work with. So, what exactly did the researchers find within the pyramids, and how did they do it? The ScanPyramids mission turned to a technology born of particle physics, muon tomography. Our planet is constantly bombarded by cosmic rays, high-energy particles that originate from space. When these particles hit the Earth's atmosphere, they shatter into a cascade of secondary particles, the most prominent of which are muons. Muons are like heavier versions of electrons. They are everywhere and can pass through immense amounts of matter, including the thousands of tons of stone that make up the pyramids. The principle of muon tomography is a form of passive radiography, like a giant X-ray. By placing specialized detectors inside or around the pyramids, scientists can measure the number of muons that pass through the structure. A solid block of limestone will absorb more muons than a void. So, a higher than expected number of muons in a specific area creates a signal that a less dense region may exist. The data itself creates a three-dimensional density map where voids appear as bright spots against the dark, solid stone. Over several years, 3 independent teams of physicists used different types of detectors, from simple nuclear emulsion films to high-tech gas detectors, to meticulously analyze the muon flux. This multi-layered approach was key to the project's academic integrity. Each team worked independently, gathering millions of muon tracks from different angles in the hope of creating a comprehensive map of the interior. They expected to find small hidden chambers similar to those already known, or maybe a previously undiscovered passageway. But what they found was something no one could have predicted. The initial hint of a big discovery came from the nuclear emulsion films placed in the Queen's Chamber by researchers from the Nagoya University. This finding was then confirmed and corroborated by 2 other teams using different detector technologies, including scintillators from Japan and gas detectors from the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission. This 3-way confirmation, using different methodologies, made the findings very robust and highly defensible to scientific skepticism. Their collective and corroborated data led to a monumental conclusion. There was a large, previously undiscovered void located within the Great Pyramid of Khufu. This discovery, called the Big Void, is a huge finding, with an estimated length of at least 30 meters and a cross-section similar to the Grand Gallery below it, almost the size of a plane. But its purpose is still a mystery. Could it be a hidden chamber for a pharaoh's treasures, or an unknown architectural feature used to relieve stress on the ceiling of the Grand Gallery? Later analysis of the data, published in 2023, confirmed a second discovery, the North Face Corridor, a smaller, hidden passageway just behind the blocks on the pyramid's northern side. These discoveries show that even after centuries of exploration, the pyramids still hold secrets, and that new non-invasive technologies are finally revealing these hidden mysteries after thousands of years. The findings from the ScanPyramids mission were also extended to other structures, as researchers found evidence of new voids in the pyramids of Menkaure, confirming that these mysteries are not limited to Khufu's monument alone. The discovery of the Big Void constitutes the first major inner structure found in the Great Pyramid since the 19th century, marking a significant breakthrough in archaeology. The news of a hidden, empty space within the pyramid immediately sparked a global frenzy of speculation. On one hand, archaeologists like Zahi Hawass argued that the void could simply be an architectural feature, such as a stress-relieving chamber. The scientific paper itself states that there's no information about the void's intended purpose, and that it could consist of one or several adjacent voids. On the other hand, the public and media fueled speculation that this discovery could be a lost treasure room, or secret burial chamber. To definitively confirm the void's purpose and contents would require some form of physical intervention, such as drilling a small, precise hole and inserting a robotic camera. However, this is a highly controversial and sensitive topic as it presents a risk of damaging the ancient structure. This tension between non-invasive discovery and physical investigation is at the heart of the debate between the further investigation and preservation. Regardless of the interpretation, the discovery highlights that the pyramids still hold secrets. It shows how modern particle physics can shed new light on the world's archaeological heritage, and it changes our understanding of the pyramid's internal architecture, and may finally provide new insight into how the pyramids were built. But that's not all. While muon tomography allowed us to see inside the pyramids, other non-invasive technologies have been used to explore the ground beneath them, leading to sensational discoveries. The two main technologies that have been used to study the ground beneath the pyramids are ground-penetrating radar and synthetic aperture radar. This is where a crucial distinction in the science must be made. Ground-penetrating radar is a ground-based technology that uses radio waves to map what is directly beneath the surface. Synthetic aperture radar, on the other hand, is a remote sensing technology, typically operated from satellites, that creates high resolution of images of the Earth's surface. While these two methods are forms of geophysical imaging, their application and scientific validity at Giza are fundamentally different. The science behind ground-penetrating radar is similar to an ultrasound, but instead of sound waves, it sends high-frequency radio waves into the ground. When these waves encounter a change in the subsurface, such as an empty space or a different type of rock or a buried object, some of the energy is reflected back. A receiver then records these reflections, allowing researchers to create a cross-sectional map of the ground. This method is often combined with electrical resistivity tomography and has become a valuable tool for archaeologists, allowing them to map out features of the ground beneath the Great Pyramids without breaking the surface. And what ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography have found is just as puzzling as the voids inside the pyramids. A 2024 study published in the journal Archaeological Prospection detailed the discovery of a significant anomaly beneath the Western Cemetery, just a few hundred feet from the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The scans show a combination of a shallow, L-shaped structure filled with sand and a deeper, highly resistive structure, possibly indicating a chamber or tunnel. While the researchers were cautious in their language, stating that the findings point to the possibility of the presence of archaeological remains, the evidence suggested something was buried there. The scientific community treats these findings with caution. Definitive interpretation will require further investigation. The claims associated with synthetic aperture radar, however, are far more sensational and not as widely accepted in the academic community. Synthetic aperture radar is used to create images of the Earth's surface. A group of Italian and Scottish researchers claim to have used this method to find a vast underground city and a megastructure beneath the Pyramid of Khafre. These claims describe a network of tunnels, deep cylindrical shafts extending over 2,000 feet, and two large cubic structures deep beneath the pyramids. These claims are at the heart of the speculation part of the discussion, as they lack the scientific rigor of the ground-penetrating radar findings. Some have speculated that the anomalies point to the existence of a vast, millennia-old underground city, or the fabled Hall of Records, a mythical library said to contain all the lost wisdom of ancient civilizations. However, experts largely dismiss the synthetic aperture radar claims as unverified speculation, arguing that this technology cannot penetrate rock to the depths claimed, and that the findings lack the scientific corroboration. Prominent Egyptologists and experts have expressed deep skepticism, calling claims a huge exaggeration. The exaggeration of these claims occurred through a process of media sensationalism and a lack of peer-reviewed validation, as well as a leap from the data to interpretation. The researchers' raw data showed some form of anomalies, or linear features beneath the surface, which were then interpreted and extrapolated into a vast underground city. This interpretation, however, goes far beyond what the data itself shows. The pyramids are a testament to the fact that humans, even with limited tools, are capable of achieving the impossible. This new era of non-invasive archaeology will allow us to investigate other ancient sites without the risk of causing damage, potentially leading to data that can shed a new light on ancient history. The new discoveries inside and beneath the pyramids are not secrets that reveal a lost alien world. Instead, they serve as a reminder that the ancient Egyptians were masters of their craft, a civilization with a deep understanding of logistics, engineering, and architecture. They're a human triumph created by a people not so different from ourselves. However, the legacy of the pyramids is not just a story of the past, Today, the Great Pyramids face new and modern threats. One of the most significant challenges is the threat of rising groundwater levels caused by a combination of urbanization, modern irrigation, and failing sewer systems from nearby villages. The constant presence of moisture from below threatens to erode the soft limestone of the bedrock on which the Sphinx and the temples were built. Furthermore, a series of ambitious upgrade projects on the Giza plateau, from new visitor centers and roads to a controversial plan to reclad the Pyramid of Menkaure, have drawn criticism from preservationists who fear these developments will damage the integrity of the site. So, the reveal of new chambers, voids, and hidden structures reminds us that there's still more to be discovered, and that even with all our knowledge, the pyramids still hold secrets. And while we're busy using modern technology to look into our own past here on Earth, astrophysicists are looking into the very beginnings of the universe. The development of new space telescopes is an exciting area of space research, with some discoveries making scientists question our entire understanding of the cosmos. Check out my recent video on the groundbreaking images from the James Webb Space Telescope and how these images are challenging us to rewrite the history of our universe.